Hi, I'm Dire Regulus. Welcome to the Dire Pirates. Today I will be the captain navigating you through this theory about the end of Wano and the death of Kaido. I will strongly be leaning on elements going up to chapter 1049 right now, so if you're not up to speed, maybe consider this very spoilerish and maybe go catch up and come back right after. And this is the channel's very first video, so thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy this because I got a few more theories. I mean, basically, just like Goldie Roger launched the golden age of piracy, Oda has launched the golden age of theory. So at first, this was just supposed to be like a review of chapter 1049 without much emphasis, but the more I kept thinking about it, the more I kept linking things together. The more I think, like, I have an idea of how Kaido might die and how things beyond 1049 might go. So, yeah, I made a more concrete theory about it. Hope you guys enjoy. So, do we think this thing's over? Like, Kato's not getting back up? Big boy's over? Hell no. No, I definitely think Kato still has to awaken for sure. There's gonna be more parties involved in this war. Like, more parts are gonna get in. And my reasoning comes from the two things I think Oda used as inspiration for the Wano arc. First being the tale of Momotaro, which has been used across One Piece before, and the other one is World War II. And after a bit of research, turns out those two things are pretty closely linked in Japanese culture. So I'll leave a link in the description for the full story of Momotaro, so if you want to go read it, go ahead. So to summarize the story of Momotaro, we have this kid that's born out of a peach that this loving couple finds. They're super grateful for having found him, so they raise him with love and care. Momotaro has these feats of strength throughout his youth, and he starts training also at a pretty young age, and he wants to, like, pay back the love that he's received from his family, and they live in this country that's overtaken by a demon king that's been torturing people, kidnapping them, stealing from them, everything. So he wants to kill him, and the Demon King lives on Oni Hill, the Demon Hill. So Momotaro leaves on an adventure to take care of the Demon King, stop his tyranny. He meets a few companions along the way, and ultimately they beat the Demon King, save everyone. You've heard this before, right? So now that we all get what kind of story Momotaro is, how does it relate to World War II? Well, turns out Momotaro was heavily used as a propaganda during World War II by the Japanese government. So Momotaro symbolized the Japanese government. His companions were the citizens. The Demon King symbolized the British and American armies, and Onigashima, well, was Pearl Harbor. And fun fact, that's also how the world got its very first anime movie. The first ever feature-length anime production was called Momotaro Sacred Sailors, and it was fully produced by the Japanese Navy, and it was targeted to a kids audience. It's kind of nuts that the first anime movie comes from there, but hey, there's even a prequel to it eventually that came. It's called Momotaro's Sea Eagles. That one's straight up an anime version of Pearl Harbor, from the Japanese point of view. Anyway, look them up if you wanna. Okay, sorry, I'm done getting sidetracked. So the nods to the tale of Momotaro in One Piece have been covered in depth by many other content creators. That and Sun Wukong are huge inspirations for Oda for the whole of the story. But Momotaro's been getting more of a lens put on it in Wano, and the parallels have been more in your face with it. I could give a few. So the main ones are, first we got Momonosuke. His kimono, peach pattern. Yeah, that Momotaro reference, yeah. So Momotaro has three companions, a dog, a monkey, a pheasant. In the pre-time skip One Piece, those symbolize the three admirals. But in Wano, it symbolizes the ninja pirate mink samurai alliance, as well as Marco. The Demon King is Kaido, and Onigashima is, unsurprisingly, Onigashima. Another pretty obvious one is in Momotaro's story. To convince his three companions to join his adventure, ultimately, the thing that seals the deal with them is the kibi dango that his mother prepared for him before he left. So, if you kibi dango, you become a follower of mine. That's Tama. That's another straight reference. So after a very serious reading session with the tale of Momotaro that I went through, to me there's really two things that stand out that are missing that need to be referenced in the story of Wano. So yeah, first, the parallel of Marco being the pheasant companion in the story of Momotaro. What's interesting with the pheasant is in that story, he's the only one that has like his spotlight moment at the end. He flies up to the Onigashima, the Demon Hill, and he starts the fight with the ogres that are the fighters of the Demon King ahead of time, while Momotaro and the monkey and dog are making it by boat. So he kind of holds off the whole thing on his own while the other ones are getting there. Now, keep in mind the part where I said he fights the ogres and not the Demon King itself. Yeah, to me that means Marco needs to have a shining moment that he hasn't had yet. Not fighting Kaido, because the pheasant doesn't fight the Demon King, but fighting his ogres, which in this case would be the All-Stars. So yeah, given the power level that Marco's at, I doubt he's going to be taking all 3 All-Stars on his own. I would see, in this case, Zoro getting back up. I mean, if the All-Stars are getting back up, why not Zoro? Queen had been kicked off Onigashima. He's probably on the ground somewhere. He's a cyborg. He's not done. So I think they're getting back up. They're going to fight until Kaido backs up, and same thing. We're going to have, like, Marco, Sanji, Zoro fighting King, Queen, and Jack until Luffy and Zoro get back up. The second element from the Momotaro story that's missing to be referenced in Wano is its ending. The Demon King surrenders. And I think this is the main reason Kaido has to get back up. He has to surrender. Not surrender to Luffy, but surrender to Luffy's will. And what does surrendering to Luffy's will look like? I think the answer to that comes from World War II. Now, the parallels from World War II and Wano are more subtle than the direct parallels from the Momotaro story. Those parallels happen much more in, like, a reflection of the events of how Wano's unfolding, of the war unfolding, rather than a direct reference of, let's say, the countries that were involved in World War II. For example, the war started with the annexation/occupation of a country, in both cases, so Poland for World War II and Wano here for One Piece. Another one is the countries who opposed the Axis had to ally and call themselves the Allies to go up against them and stand a chance. Kind of like the Ninja Pirate Mink Samurai Alliance. Secret intel and double agents played a huge role in World War II, and they do as well in Wano. We see that, like, with Kinemon's plan, Kanjuro being a traitor, Denjiro being a traitor as well. There was also a huge shift of power in World War II with a change of allegiance when Russia left the Axis, and that's kind of similar to the way a lot of the Beast Pirates have switched over to the Alliance's side because of Thomas Power. There's work camps/concentration camps in both cases. World War II had a lot of experimenting with new chemical weapons. This is something that Queen has done a few times already in Wano that we can do a parallel to. And in both cases, we have incompetent leaders who grow a cult of personality. No, okay, I'm kind of kidding with that last one. Okay, so there's like this other fun fact that I found while I was looking this stuff up that relates to Luffy's awakening. Japanese forces during the end of World War II started helping Indonesia push back the Dutch army that was occupying it. Ultimately, that resulted in their independence in 1945. Supposedly, this independence would have been prophesized by an old Japanese king that was called Jayabaya, which I believe would kind of be Joy Boy. Anyways. Fun one. So that, to me, leaves us with 2 things from World War II that still need to be referenced in Wano. First one is that war's main characteristic, which was war on multiple fronts. So at the beginning of the war, the Axis, and mainly Germany, tried to avoid at all costs to fight on multiple fronts at once. It was part of the strategy, just not spread your forces, but it was inevitable. At some point, they had to fight on multiple fronts. It's part of the reason that they ended up losing that in Russia, a lot of Russia. But you may know one of the reasons. Wano so far has only been operating on one front, Onigashima. So now that Onigashima has been slapped to the ground by Oda, thank God, the door's open for a lot of new fighters to join the fray. So which ones are the most likely one to join now? To me, the Marines are the first one that pop in mind, the obvious one, the one that kind of has to happen for my thing to work here. They're right on the coast of Wano. I'd be very surprised if we don't see the Marines joining. At the very least, some admirals jumping in the fight. Now, as much as this one annoys me, they showed Orochi's head again in Chapter 1049. So, is he getting back up again? Are we getting like a case of an awakened Orochi? Like you know the guards in Impel Down that are awakened but kind of mindless with the Tintin eyes? Well, that'd be funny. Also, there's the fact that Luffy died a few chapters ago, so That probably affected his Viva card, so whoever has it, which is like everyone in his Grand Fleet, probably had something weird happen to it. So maybe a few Grand Fleet members are on the way that were close by. I don't know. I'm not sure about this one. There's also the fact that Perospero was the only member of the Big Mom Pirates that actually made it to the fight in Onigashima. So where are all the other ones? Did they finally make it up the waterfall? They could join. Okay, this one's a deep cut, but Morgan's. Hey, last time we saw that guy, he had to relocate. And if anyone let him know that there was a fight of this magnitude going up on Wano, he knows there's a story to be told there, and he's probably the one that wants to tell that story the way he wants to tell it. And what about Caribou? We haven't seen Goop Boy in a while, and he seemed to have a plan, like he knows about an ancient weapon. There's still that person that he has to go tell about the ancient weapon. We still don't know who that is, and he could easily maybe not join the fight as a main fighter because he's a wuss, but I mean, he could do something. Which brings me to my final maybe. The something that Caribou could do would maybe be telling that person about the ancient weapon. I think there's a not bad chance that that person might be Blackbeard. And maybe Blackbeard could be on the way to pick up Caribou. And maybe mess up the stuff a bit while he's at it. Like, even aside Caribou, there's a few things that Blackbeard could want in Wano. There's some poneglyph rubbings that he probably really wants, and there's a big fight that just happened. Like, last time that happened, he took a devil fruit. Maybe he's the one that's gonna take the devil fruit from Orochi? Aw, man, I hope that's not gonna happen. That would be so disturbing. 8 Blackbeard faces. Ooh. Okay, now some less likely ones that maybe could join the fight, but I highly doubt so. So there's Sword. We just learned about this organization. We know about Kobe. We know about Drake being into it. Maybe some other members get revealed, show up. Shanks is always a possibility. The man seems to know how to show up where he wants, when he wants, but I don't know. Part of me thinks that Shanks... Sorry, baby Trafalgar. Sorry, little law. I get agitated when I talk about Shanks, man. Sorry. So yeah, Shanks I think is for Elbaf. Not now. And then there's the cover stories that have been hinting that Germa 66 is still kind of active in Whole Cake. Maybe part of them could be coming back, but still putting that one down the ladder of probabilities right away. Now, who is definitely not joining the fight that's close by? First one, Zunesha. Yeah, I don't see the big elephant out of water. That would just be odd. No. Second one that's not joining that fight, the Long Arm Tribe CP0 agent that we saw running away from the fight not so long ago. Yeah, that guy's on his way to snitch the Gorosei, if anything. That man is not a fighter, he's a snitch. That's also probably how we're going to be able to get the bounties go up, with that guy's info hitting the Gorosei. But really, the only ones that matter here and everything that I listed are the first one I said, the Marines. Because with all this Kaido talk, we're kind of forgetting who the real bad guys are. It's the world government. And Kaido's flashback in 1049 reminds us of this very well. Kaido is the beast he is because of them. And that brings us to the second element of World War II that I think is missing from Wano. And that's its ending. So the German gave their surrender of World War II in May of 1945. The Japanese side of the Axis stayed active. A bit after that, they did not fully accept the conditions of surrender that the Allies submitted to them in July of that same year. This resulted in the Americans taking the extremely unnecessary decision to drop 2 atomic bombs on Japan in the span of 3 days. For a Japanese author like Oda, it probably has a very different perspective that we can have here in the West on the ending of the war. He probably wants to allude to this in some way. I doubt he's going to want to be as sad as that event is, though, in the story of One Piece. And this is how I think he can do it. And I've seen other content creators try to do these parallels with World War II before, and I think the mistake that many have made is to make Kaido be the US and see Onigashima as the atomic bombs. That's wrong. I think it's a red herring. Oda played us all again, fellas. But Onigashima may maybe be the first atomic bomb. I could see that one working. But if Onigashima was the first atomic bomb and it failed, I think the second one will fail as well, but in a more fashionable manner. If anything, the United States here are the Marine/world government, and they're gonna buster call this place. You really think they wouldn't? Do you not know about Ohara? There was like 10 people who knew stuff that the government didn't want them to know, and they deleted the place out of existence. Do you really think they wouldn't try to do the same to a country filled with secrets they don't want the world to know, and two people that they would rather not have alive? They're gonna do it whether you like it or not. So do I think there will be no more Wano? No, not at all. Kaido has to get back up, awaken, at the very least. And I see the Marines joining the fight for almost absolutely sure, or at the very least some admirals. Like Luffy, Kaido has to lose to awaken. He has to fight Luffy in his awakened form, in the Sun God Nika form. So Kaido can truly attest Luffy being the joy boy that he told Albert King about. That's also why I think the All-Stars ultimately get back up, because King has to see this fight. And why am I so sure that we're getting awakened Kaido? Well, that's pretty simple. Ever since we got the first awakening with Doflamingo, all the awakenings have been announced. Most of the main villains, whether it's from the main series or from movies even that have came out since, they've announced their awakening. We've seen their awakening. Kaido has yet to announce his own awakening, and honestly, I really doubt that Oda would miss the opportunity to do an awakening on such a significant antagonist as Kaido. Come on. And then there's the reason I really think the Marines have to be there, or at the very least 2 admirals. And the 2 admirals in question, of course, are Fujitora and Ryokugyu. Their presence is kind of required for this theory to work, and honestly, I think it makes a lot of sense that they might have been on their way straight to Wano after their encounter with Sabo and the revolutionary commanders in the Lovely. Hell, Sabo even could come with a few of those revolutionaries depending on how that thing went down and how we're going to learn about it. I'd be for that, but again, huge maybe for that one. So yeah, Fujitora and Ryokugyu, so the tiger and the bull, the green bull. Well, some versions of the Momotaro tale actually do refer to them. That's the interesting part. In some versions of the tale, the direction in which Oni Hill, Demon Hill, is the direction of the ox tiger, which is considered to be an unlucky direction in Chinese Taoism and in also esoteric Japanese cosmology, which is called this, which I won't try to say. So we've got the tiger and ox direction, which in this case would be towards Oni Hill, Demon Hill. So yeah, I think that means that both Ryokugyu and Fujitora are on their way to Wano, and that they will show up, be part of the fight. Why do I think it's those two? Whole Cake Island was Sanji's arc. We learned his background. I think Wano is Zoro's, and I think we've been told this by Oda as well, which means that we kind of need to know his origin. I firmly believe in the theory that has been covered by many. Again, I'll put a link in the description for that. But I think that Zoro is the son of Ryokugyu, the son of the Green Bull. Zoro's from Wano. I think that theory makes a lot of sense, and it's probably true. That'll be interesting, and I think we kind of have to see Green Bull for all of this to work. I think Ryokugyu and Fujitora are going to be in the fight, but that still leaves one guy we're forgetting about, the CP0 snitch buddy. We still have to think about him. He ran off earlier. So from CP0 buddy, the new admirals on the ground at the fight, the Gorosei can easily get the information they need to take the call here. It's Buster Call time. Now, I'm not sure we're getting the Buster Call from Enies Lobby. I'm not sure we're getting the Buster Call from O'Hara. This might be a new and improved Buster Call. I'm actually leaning towards it being something that might have been developed by Dr. Vegapunk and the SSG, the Marines' new Special Science Division. The thing that, to replace the Shishibukai system that was one of the balances in the world powers. It's now the new thing, and we have yet to see it exploited. We kind of have to see what the power behind it is, and like a Buster Call that could eliminate Wano, like delete Luffy and Kaido, like something they think is strong enough for that could be it. Thing is though, I'm pretty sure that only comes up at the end of the fight of the rematch between Luffy and Kaido, a fight where Luffy would have been once again the clear winner. Like the launch of the Buster Call happens at a point where Luffy has clearly won. Kaido is ready to submit like the Demon King did to Momotaro. I won't dare to try to figure out how that fight happens, how it goes out. In the end, I'm pretty sure like Luffy's gonna dominate again and Kaido will be beaten, like admit himself beaten this time. And then we have a Buster Call about to launch. If the theory about Ryokogyu, Green Bull, being a Shimotsuki is true, well, he's probably like yelling in a transponder snail at this point, trying to stop the explosion of Wano because it'd be from there. But the Gorosei would probably see like too much value in all of this. We can't let Wano be open to the whole world. They gotta blow this thing up, especially if they see the opportunity of maybe blowing up Luffy with an awakened Sun God Nika and Kaido at the same time. Like, why not do it? Like I said, Ohara was much less. Ryokogyu being against it would kind of like emulate the insiders of the American military that were against the atomic bomb in the first place, which we now know with time was absolutely a thing. But ultimately, the Buster Call is launched. Then, as the Buster Call is about to strike, the defeated Kaido gets back up and flies head first into the incoming projectiles. And that would probably be about the best time to have Kaido have a second flashback. You know, one that would like expand a bit more on the last one that was super jumpy. And once that flashback is done, pop back to our boy Kaido. Gets hit by the projectiles, saved everyone. Part of them maybe like deflect back to the Marines, beating their butts up. But ultimately, Kaido dies. But in this way, he saves Luffy, who he now knows as Joy Boy, and his dream. And this is the perfect thing for Oda, if we think of it. Eliminates the threat that is Kaido, the power that he represents in the story that could always intervene if he stays alive. And this is the perfect redemption for Kaido. This way he dies in a valuable way, saving everyone, kind of redeeming himself. I don't think it redeems all the years of like exploiting Wano, but hey, it's a thing. And on top of that, it makes like most of the wishes that were written on those lanterns for chapter 1040 and 1049, like all those wishes, they're kind of all true now. So yeah, in the end, Luffy and Kaido are going to get back up. They're going to fight. It's going to be great. The Marines, or at the very least, Admirals are going to come into play. All that in the end for a Buster Call to be called up by the Gorosei on Wano, and Kaido will get back up after being beat by Luffy another time and block that Buster Call, save everyone, kind of redeem himself, but also let Luffy fulfill his dream as Joy Boy. And how confident am I on this one? Listen, I'm pretty sure I didn't just call the end of Wano. Like, this is my theory. But is Kaido getting back up? Oh, that's an 80%, if not more. Yeah, Kaido's getting back up. But I'm not sure I got it. I hope I didn't. I hope Oda surprises me. That's what I prefer. This is my way of seeing all of this happening. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love chapters like 1049 though. Like, making the fandom discuss right before break week. Make us doubt, is Kaido done? I might be wrong, like this video might be irrelevant in a few days, but I don't care. I had a great time making it, had a great time thinking about this, and I hope it turns out true. I'll be all on the bragging rights, but otherwise, hey, had fun doing this. I hope it made you guys think, and let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching. The channel's still pretty new. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and please subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to see the next video. And the next video will most likely be a deep dive into Mask Deuce, Ace's first mate. He's the narrator of the side story that features Ace that Oda wrote and has been illustrated by Boichi, the creator of Dr. Stone. It's an amazing read, and I have a few theories about him. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. I think there needs to be more conversation about this character. Just subscribe, and we'll have some fun. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching.